What's going on, ladies and gentlemen of Luca Nation? I have two updates for you guys, or two things I want to talk about before we jump into our StarStock episode here. And guys, we're rearranging, so you're going to be hearing this in the beginning of the episode. Make sure to stay and tune in, 15, 20 minutes in to where Conrad does a kind of deep dive, a breakdown into the index, what's going on in both baseball, basketball, and all the good stuff. But, first thing, I got to give a shout out to our friends at Card Talk at 1:37 p.m. For the longest time, we've been talking about how the hobby needs a daily podcast alongside Luca Nation Network, Lucas Tigers and Bronze. Oh my. There's just too much going on day to day in the hobby to not have a daily show. And today, Gary and those guys announced, I think it's called 7:31 a.m. They'll be doing a daily show as well. So just got to give a shout out. I know those guys well. I know they'll be successful. And I think that's a big thing for the hobby. We see a lot of really similar shows where they're once a week and stuff, but something like this that's daily is going to be really, really good for the hobby. My second shout out is to my co-host. This guy knows how to work a system. So let me give you an example. You hear Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, all that stuff. The guy gets delivery from Chick-fil-A by going through the catering menu.
Yep.
It says, "What's the problem, Andrew? We can have it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. It doesn't go bad. We're going to eat it.
That's right. That's right.
With minimum order, we'll deliver." So my man today throws into our Luca Nation Network content team group just a flex. This is like the biggest. This guy owns a Michael Jordan, PSA 9, PSA 10 Pokemon. So he's got it all. But it was the most major flex I've seen. Just his Chick-fil-A order for dinner.
That's right. Listen, I want to make sure I'm in a good mood. What does a family of four needs $260 worth of Chick-fil-A for dinner? Why not?
I literally almost pulled a U-turn in my car to go and get Chick-fil-A. But my mom texted me, "I need you home at 6:15." So here we are. What can I do? Family call. So
that's the key. Well, listen, you got to find a way to get some cheesesteaks, man. When in Philly, do the Philly thing. That's what I would do. Last time I was in Philly, I ate 7 cheesesteaks.
What's your cheesesteak order?
I'm a whiz. I'm sure that surprises no.
Whiz doesn't taste bad when you try it, but the fact that it comes from like a metal can,
huge metal can too at those places.
Yeah.
I don't do all the fixings. I'm not like a big throw onions and peppers and everything on there. I just give me the right bread. I'll give me a Tony Luke's maybe. But Geno's, I switch it up too, right? The Phillies, I went to. It has to be. This was 2008. 2008, the last time I was in Philly. I went to a game. I saw the Dodgers play Phillies. It was, I think, the year, so 2008, 2009-ish. I think it was the year the Phillies went to the World Series. So we wound up actually seeing a pretty good game, a pretty good team. Chase Utley, Ryan Howard. Mm-hmm. And, of course, because I just can't.
Halladay, right?
Yeah, I just can't be, I just can't be I can't be like a normal guy and just go watch a game and do the hot dog. I tell them every inning we stay here, I'll eat a cheesesteak, which is expensive. I didn't realize.
Say that too, because
my friends. I was there with a bunch of friends.
You just say it to yourself. This is
no. You mean like split personalities? No, dude. I tell my friends. I want There's a place in the city. I don't even know if there's any more of them left. There might be 1 or 2 left. So Brother Jimmy's, a barbecue place. Their slogan for a while was "Put some South in your mouth." It's a great little slogan. They made some good barbecue, right? And they had a Wednesday Southern Appreciation Night. And they had all these all you can eat hush puppies, rib tips, wings. So I used to go there after I got out of college. I used to go there and on Wednesday night watch a Yankee game, and I would say, "I'll eat a wing for every pitch Roger Clemens throws." And I would do it, it was unlimited. So, you eat as many as you want. And as long as he didn't really throw his arm out.
You eat him clean off, everything off the wing?
Or you can, my friends would give me shit if I left anything on there. No, my record is 140 wings in one sitting. And I'm disappointed because I really should have done 144 because that's 12 dozen. It's pretty cool to say I ate a dozen wings. And I couldn't. I stopped at 140.
Did you drive home?
I probably drove home. This was a college thing.
like you got to get a hotel room or something. That was not a comfortable ride home.
I can't believe we've gone here. But anyway, I did have 7 cheesesteaks. I was with my wife at the time, and she's like, "We're leaving after 7 innings. I'm not gonna be in a car ride home with you if you keep doing this." So she was probably smart. But the worst, believe it or not, I've ever felt after food. The worst, like the fullest, right? And
when you went to your kombucha tasting.
Yeah, that would be terrible. I never had Chipotle. Like I was one of the last people to try Chipotle, right? So this is maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, something like that. It was just not one of those things. I'm not a huge Mexican food guy anyway. So we were at work, and a guy I work with was a talker, and it's fine. Every once in a while, when we talk about food, I'm gonna shut that down, right? And he's like, I'll eat as many burritos from Chipotle. Like I can eat as many burritos as possible. I'll eat as many burritos as you can. Like the guy was like 112 pounds soaking wet. So I said, listen, I've never had Chipotle burritos, so that's fine. But how about this? I'll eat 2 for everyone you eat. No problem, right? How many do you usually eat? So he says, I can eat 2, no problem. I said, all right, so then I'll eat 4. So we went there and we ordered burritos, and I just told him to put everything in it, like put the rice, the guacamole,
no
the
sour cream.
steak.
Sour cream is unnecessary.
I don't really love sour cream, but we put everything in it. I ordered 4, and I sat down at Chipotle with 4. He ordered 2, and after I finished my 3rd one and started my 4th, he had finished his 1st. And tapped out and just said, I don't think I can eat a 2nd one now. And I'm like, dude, you said you eat 2. Like, I'm already 3-1 here.
Doesn't just an average human eat 1? Like,
I don't know, but I ate a 4th one. Dude, let me tell you, that's like eating a brick, right? And of course, when I eat, I drink soda. You know this. I drink soda all the time. So I probably drank 4 liters of diet soda while I was eating these burritos with all this rice. I don't know how my stomach didn't just completely explode from this. Like I went back to work and I was like this, like I felt like I swallowed a Toyota. It was terrible. I was
this like, Nation. So this is the hard hitting analysis you're going to get on your StarStock episode.
Well, listen, you went on to my Chick-fil-A. I could talk about eating, man. It's this is definitely a part of my past. I definitely signed up to be a competitive eater at one point in time.
If you were, I don't even know how to transition. If you're a competitive eater, would you be investing in Shohei Ohtani cards? Because I wanted to transition to him because he's the talk of the town. If there's one player this MLB season that's going into Tatis, that's Acuna, that's Soto. I mean, Bo Bichette's having an amazing year. Vlad G's having a good year. There's one guy. I mean, Ohtani.
I like Ohtani. Acuna looks good too. His prices are going up. Soto's prices are going up, but Ohtani is.
But why I bring that up, Cage, is the only player to see a price increase this week was Shohei Ohtani, whose cards have gone up 32% on StarStock, when the index this week was down for baseball 11.25%. It's big. That shows a lot of support from the hobby towards this one guy.
Yeah, and it's amazing too because that's a tough boat to turn around. It's like Ohtani would get stuck in the Suez Canal because there are way, way, way too many of his rookie cards, right? So to have his cards move, it really means something because I think he set a record with the amount of different cards that are out there for him. It's funny. Right before we got on here today, I'm going to do a little shout out and we'll get into the StarStock data. Bottom of the 9th cards on Instagram. It's bot 9th cards, BOT, the number 9, TH cards, bottom of the 9th cards. They do the cards for kids sponsorship and all that stuff. They sent, this is Dr. Bobby, right? So, this is my pal, Pastry. I'll probably say it wrong. I've mentioned Canada. Check out this card. We got his family here. Little awesome family, a Luca Nation listener. So he sent me like a little
awesome
baseball card of the family. Topps made. It looks like 87 Topps version. But he sent me over a bunch of cards for Ian and I to open. We have some hockey stuff as well. But one of the cool things, he sent me a whole write up about how the 2018 Topps holiday issue is underpriced. It was cheap. It's $30 at the time, to buy it in the store. And if you look at the population report on the the bat down version of Acuna and all these other ones, that they're less of them, and yet they're really underpriced. So it's something I'm definitely going to take a look at.
So the holiday version was always the cheapest ever since the hobby.
What's pretty awesome is I know that there are silver versions. So what's cool about it is there's like snowflakes, but then there's silver snowflakes. So Ian pulls fire. In the box they sent me for free Here he pulled an Otani rookie with the silver snowflakes on it, like a silver snowflake parallel.
Fire. That's trademarked. From here on out, that's trademarked. Ian pulls fire.
So thank you to the Pastry family, and bottom of the ninth. Take a look on Instagram, follow those guys. I mean, they sent this over. It was, we were able to break cards. And I'm going to look for that particular card, this Otani holiday one, because, I think the pop is lower than some of the other cards. I didn't mean to hijack the Otani talk because I know he's huge, but we literally just pulled the Otani rookie 10 minutes before we jumped on the episode. And it plays into the narrative. I've talked about Otani a bunch. There are a million.
Just not to cut you off. I think that these little micro examples are so interesting because it just shows the strength of the hobby and the strength of the community that we're building.
Oh, yeah.
And this is to businesses and content creators out there. If you want to win, make sure you listen to your customers, to your hobby, to the community. These people, like Cage, I mean, that's incredible. This guy just sent you a pack of cards, right?
Well,
you just connect with him on Instagram?
So I'll take some pictures. We'll post about it on Instagram. It's just a member of Luca Nation, mostly about hockey. Wants to talk about hockey, and we don't talk about hockey that much. So he said he's going to send Ian a bunch, some hockey cards to open, so we can chat about hockey. And we didn't open it yet. He sent a 92 hockey O-Pee-Chee Premier, get a little post-it note on it about who's in it. Lindstrom, there's an error card in it, like a whole write-up on what to look for. But he also threw in, because he knows we're not huge hockey guys, he threw in a couple of packs. There were 2 Skybox Dream Team packs. We got a Jordan in each one of them. So Ian opened a pack of 92 basketball cards and got Michael Jordan in each pack, which is amazing. How do you beat that? I'm sure they're not the most costly things in the world, but it's cool. He's like, I got Michael Jordan. And there was one fat pack of Prism football from this year. And what's the trademark that we have? What are we trademarking? What's the phrase about Ian?
Ian pulls fire.
Ian pulls fire, right? So one pack. See who that is?
Herbert.
He pulled the Herbert base rookie card out of one Prism. I mean, we opened a whole box of Prism. We didn't get a
beautiful
Herbert
card
rookie.
saver. That's a card saver one. Looks like a cardboard gold right there.
That's cardboard gold card saver one. So yes, he sent over some stuff, and this week's opening with Ian was all thanks to bottom of the ninth. I got the business card right here. You can check that one out. We got that right there. And really awesome. I can't wait to open the hockey cards. And Ian pulled fire again. So hockey. Football for StarStock this past week sales was 15%. Baseball was 46%, 45% I'm rounding up. And basketball was 38%. Hockey, not there. If this box is fun, I might have to change this. We might have to start getting some hockey stuff, right? Because hockey's a rabid fan support. But if you look at that again, basketball dropped a little bit. Baseball's up. Baseball's almost half the sales now on StarStock. We were saying that was going to happen.
I'll say maybe not now, but I expect to see that football number trending towards 20 and 25% very soon.
Oh, yeah. I agree. No one's sending in football yet. I think with the release of Select just coming out, people will probably start to send some of that stuff in. It still takes a little while for the stuff to come in, but you look at what is being sent in by brand, it's still... I'm a little surprised by this, but the number 3 brand being sold is still the Prism Draft Picks basketball. I wonder if that's just volume being sold on that, because I don't know if you're anything like me. I have a ton of that stuff in my vault. Maybe that's just because that's what everybody was sending in. So maybe by volume people are selling them, but that's. I'm
not profiting off that. I've only bought Edwards at the highest prices, and now they're for pennies. So I will. I'm a bag holder on the draft picks, but hey, I mean,
all right,
I'm excited to give it away to some kids. So,
listen, and we will talk about that. We're gonna have a call this week with StarStock, and so guys, also if you have issues, you have questions about StarStock, you have things going on with the account, send us a message because we do talk to the guys. We have a StarStock group. We can get you in that if you want. We can talk about like intake. We talk about different ideas. If you have some suggestions, something you'd like to see change, please. Send us a message and we'll raise it with the guys. What's the worst they could say? They can't do it. At least you're if you have a suggestion or something like that, let us know and we will raise it. I've raised some stupid ideas with them and they've told me no, so I'm not shy. I will 100% tell them this is an idea we got from the audience. So it's all right.
So today, Eric Myers, guys, we had him on our episode. It's Halo.
Back.
He gave me a call and we were just talking. And one thing came up and it's relevant to the data is we were talking about John Moran and Trey. how they have such poor shooting percentages this year, like really, really low shooting percentages this year. If you look at Trey's, you'd be surprised at how poorly he's shooting. And we brought up this topic called technical versus fundamental analysis, right? So in short durations of time, technical analysis is price action, news, hot sector. Fundamental, how Warren Buffett, for example, invests over time. The value of a company will play itself out, and the best stocks will win. So we brought that up, and we compared, Ja and Trey to SGA, right? SGA has a great shooting percentage. Plays really, really well. He is one of the most valuable players to his team in the NBA, especially amongst those young guys. Has really good assists, really good rebounds, but he's consistently sells below Trey and Ja. And on this week's list, he showed up as the worst performer. His cards dropped 30%, 29.41%. So not only do I believe in SGA long term, I think right now might be an opportunity to take a look at him being oversold, right? Because he's been out of sight, out of mind. OKC hasn't been good. He's out for the season. But at the same time, if you look back at his track record and look at his age and then look at future success, you have to beg the question, is he not on the same level or potential level as Trey, Ja? And if his cards are selling for, 50%, 60% of what Trey and Ja are, I think it's really, really worthwhile to take a look, especially as they've been super oversold. And we've already seen this play before when it comes to players that show up on the worst performer list. The next week they show up on the best performer. So I would take a look at SGA.
I like it. It's funny. We talk about who's on the best performer, who's on the worst performer. We talked about Kyle Kuzma last time around. We talk about SGA, Kobe White. I think ever since we started doing our StarStock episode, it's been 1 week he's on the down and 1 week he's on the up, and this week he's up 33%. He's on the up again. Colin Sexton as well on the up. So yeah,
volatile guys, penny stocks, volatile players.
Yeah, because they either find themselves in a 6-man role and don't do anything, or they come out and they light it up and they can't miss the basket, and Kobe White can light it up for 30-something points on any given night. So same thing with Sexton. Good matchup, and it's great. But yeah, somebody like OG Anunoby down 20% on the list, right? That's a guy who, if he falls much further than that, playoff team, we'll show off for the playoffs. We'll see. That East is
crazy. They look bad, man.
That East is nuts. There's like 3 games that separate like 4 and 12 seeds.
I know, but they just lost to a Hawks team without Trey and Danilo. That team doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. It's interesting because we could talk about that whole different. Well, maybe we'll do that on our Conrad special NBA scouts. But I'm not a believer in Toronto. I'm not a believer in Siakam. They're gonna struggle.
Listen, the StarStock data bears out what we've been saying for quite some time, right? That there are ebbs and flows. There are peaks and valleys in this collection, in seasons of collecting, right? So we talked about how baseball was going to start to go up, before the preseason, leading up into the spring training, you name it. And then when the season starts, a lot of that pent up energy, it dissipates. And then you start to move into the dog days of summer. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that the emerging 20 index is actually down 11% week over week, because all that energy, all that craziness, and then boom, nothing happens. Plus, you got injuries, right? You got Eloy Jimenez, who's injured, and he was the biggest drop off on the list, closely followed by Keston Hiura. And they both lost a third of their value. They're both 35% down and 34% down, followed by Juan Soto down big from last week. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the run up, right? It's a week over week thing, when you're comparing it. He lost 3 times as much as Tatis did. And, who knows how long Tatis is going to be out for with his injury. Tatis is down about 11%. The one guy who has showed up, and it's funny because we didn't talk about him from an energy perspective last season. The energy was all Tatis, dancing, you name it. But Acuna, I know you and I disagree on him. You don't really, think that he's the high flyer in the hobby that these other guys can be. I also did not think he was like, he was in the same Soto Tatis, he was a notch below them. But I've watched some games this year. He's got some energy to him now. He's got a little swag to him. He's hitting baseballs and staring them down. He hit one to, yeah, he was exactly. He hit one where Bitcoin is right now. So it's never going to come back down, right? So I mean, I'm watching Acuna. The tough part about investing in somebody like Acuna is there's like 3 MVPs and 2 World Series titles already baked into his and Soto's and Tatis's prices already. So it's difficult to hang your hat on investing in them just because everybody already expects such big things from them. But I'm watching him, and with Tatis going down, 2 things come up. Number one, can Acuna take that mantle as the face, the young face? And number 2, little sneaky one, I gave him as a play last year, not Cronenworth, but Trent Grisham. Right? He's a guy who, for the Padres, same rookie year, you name it. He was last year rookie, he was in Chrome, all that stuff, and you can buy him for a couple bucks. He's a guy who kind of was overshadowed by the Tatis show, by Machado, by the fact that he had 2 guys putting up MVP numbers in a short year. But what he put up last year was, the numbers that somebody would put up, as the lead hitter of a team. And I was very impressed by Trent Grisham, and obviously the folks who are buying, cards on StarStock are as well, because he was the number 1 player by sales count last week. No one was purchased more than Trent Grisham was last week. I think people are onto it. People are expecting him to kind of pick up the slack where the Tatis production fell off. So with him, your favorite AJ Puck, and Dustin May. The only basketball player, did you see the only basketball player by sales count, by volume of sales, who made it into the top 5? It was 4 baseball players and 1 basketball player. You know who the basketball player was? I'll give you a hint. He's overshadowed by the first 2 draft picks. He's only 20.
Yep.
And he's making an argument that the last draft pick 1, 2, 3, the last draft 1, 2, 3 might be the best 1, 2, 3 ever.
So RJ Barrett, I was going to bring that up as the final topic to discuss is, do we need to be having more of a conversation who is the second best player in that draft class? And
not yet.
You don't put him on RJ Barrett, on John
Morant, not yet. But he could get there very quickly. You know what the problem I have with Barrett is? He literally looks like he's asleep. Like, I don't know if he is smoking Chiba before the game. If he's got the whole Goldberg, the fancy rolling papers and the stuff we got going on. I don't know if he, has the same guy as you who comes to the locker room before the games. I have no idea, but he looks like he has the munchies. He's playing, he's not looking for the ball. He's looking for yodels.
So does Klay Thompson.
Yeah, but Klay's got a fight to him. Klay looks like he wants the ball. He looks like he's in the game. RJ looks like, all right, there's a game going on. When did that happen? RJ maybe because he's 20 and maybe because it's just so easy for him, I get, but seriously, he looks like he's looking for Twinkies.
How important is that it factor, right? What you're basically saying is he doesn't exude, I guess, charisma, like kind of like Anthony Edwards. He loves the presence, he loves the show, he's always awake, he's always ready to kind of clap back, say something. Like, how important is that in investing? I don't think it matters, but do you think it does?
I do. I definitely do, because you want somebody who's at least potentially the face of the team, the face of the franchise, you name it. And Barrett he gives off this, I'm okay with my role, and they can bring in whoever they want. Julius Randle could be our all-star, and we can make him the focal point of the offense, and Derrick Rose can come in and do his thing, and I can have Emmanuel quickly get all the headlines. And I mean, when do you hear anybody talking? We're having this conversation because nobody talks about him in the same thing. I know some people are starting to talk about it because the numbers are there, but the reason why you haven't heard of this as a holy triumvirate, and it's just been the top 2 here of Zion and Morant, is because even though he's in New York, RJ makes no noise, none. And he may have I can't believe I'm going to say this, besides Zion, he may have the most upside in the draft class because he's so young. He's young like Zion. Like, I think Zion has just ridiculous upside. But Barrett, if he works on his game and finds a little fire, he could be really, really good.
Well, he's a three-tool player. He could pull up mid-range. He could get to the cup. His three-point shooting has improved. I was actually reading something, and it goes along the lines of what you said. I was watching the Knicks Celtics game, and they were talking about the beat writers how RJ needs to demand the ball more in the end of the game moments. And you saw that game. That was a 2-point game, 2-point loss to the Celtics. The game before that was a 2-point loss to the Nets. And that's what we want as investors and fans and collectors is the guy who wants the ball at the end of the game. Win, lose, or draw, he wants it. And, people are like, you Thibs, you got to make sure that RJ Barrett gets the ball at the end of the game. Well, I might actually say the opposite. Like, it's a special personality that demands the ball, right, at the end of the game.
Well, I think you either have that or you don't.
Whether you can develop that or not, I don't know.
What was the name of the movie we just watched with Ben Affleck the other day? What was it called? Like Redemption Road, or what the heck was the name of that movie?
Movies do you watch?
We watch every movie that's out there. Ben Affleck, he's a handsome individual.
What do you do when you're in a movie for like 20, 30 minutes and you just know this is the worst movie ever? Do you finish it?
The Way Back. Is that what it's called? The Way Back? The Way Back. Not like the Way Back. So I'll answer. I've only left one movie ever in my life. I think I might have talked about this already on an episode. I was a kid with my father. We convinced my father to go see the movie UHF. My brother and I, we said we want to see this. It was a Weird Al Yankovic movie. You know who Weird Al is?
Yep.
He was the guy who made like funny songs instead of I'm Bad for Michael Jackson. It's I'm Fat. So he made a movie, and Cosmo Kramer was in it. From Seinfeld. He played Stanley Spadowski, and he created a television show on a UHF network. Anyway, they had to come up with commercials as well. So one of the commercials, about 20 minutes into the movie on this UHF, was a commercial for a store that sold spatulas. It was called Spatula City. So we got up to the commercial for Spatula City, and it was like, what a great present to give somebody for a bar mitzvah. Buy 6 spatulas and get a 7th spatula free. My father was like, get up now. Like, I am not sitting through the rest of this crap.
To be fair, this guy made a song called Amish Paradise.
Yes, same guy. So that was the only movie we ever left. It sticks
It would
with
be
me.
like if Sacha Baron Cohen made music.
Sort of, I guess. Yeah, I mean, he should make music. He did at the end of the Bruno movie. He made like a We Are the World version. Sting's in it, Bono's in it. He's got like a whole like thing at the end. Check out that movie. It was one of his worst movies. It was a good scene at the end. But yeah. So anyway, to the point, we were watching this movie called The Way Back with Ben Affleck. He's a basketball coach, goes back to his alma mater, and he coaches a team at a Catholic school. And there's a point guard on the team who he clearly identifies as the best player on the team, the guy. And there's a scene where it's time to make a shot. That the team is down, you name it. And they're like, he's had a conversation with this kid. Like, he's got to speak up. He's got to be more vocal. He's got to be the leader. Even though he's not a senior, he's going to be the captain. He's got to be the face of the team. And he tells him, on a play in one of the games, that he takes it to the hole and gives them options. You can shoot it. You could pass it out for the 3. You could do this. And it works. He passes it out for the 3 because the defense converges on him. And he's driving him home, and he says to him, he says, kid, I would much rather you take the shot. And he's like, yeah, but they double team me. And he was open. He goes, yeah, but that's not our best shooter. You're our best player. I will live and die as a coach with my best player taking the shot at the end. And of course, the final scene, I'll ruin this movie for anyone who hasn't seen it. The final scene, of course, is, they need someone to make a shot. And the original play is, well, you're going to have to pass it because they're going to basically triple team you. And before they run out there, he calls him back and he says, no, you take the shot. You're our best player. You do what you got to do. Take the shot. I'm going to live and die with my best player taking the shot. I don't see the Knicks doing this with RJ Barrett. I see RJ
You
Barrett.
guys on the other end, real quick, listening to this and being like, okay, but you never played basketball. And if you get double teamed, just stay with me. You pass out. That's what good players do. Take this quote from Kobe Bryant, who talked about this very thing. And he talked about preparation. And you should know that a double team is coming because you should know where it's coming from. And a double team is actually the best way to get that open game-winning shot because when you know where the double team is coming from, you could go away from it, and now you break the defense down. So Kobe's talked about this before.
Listen, some people pass it off even when they're not being double teamed, but then Danny Green misses a shot. So, it happens sometimes.
I was thinking about that exact same moment.
But no, I don't want to get on LeBron. I'm going to get hate mail again. But yeah.
What do you mean? That was Anthony Davis.
Yeah, of course it was. Anthony Davis would have taken the shot. He would have dunked it. So yeah, I mean, listen, Barrett, he could be very good, and maybe he listens to this. I know a lot of NBA players are listening to this, so maybe if you listen to this, Julius Randle, IQ, tell Barrett to listen. Tell him what I'm telling you. I'm not investing in you, RJ Barrett. I will not put my hard-earned money into you, RJ Barrett, until I watch enough games where you want the ball at the end. You want me on that ball. You need me on that ball.
My money's not so hard earned, so I'll throw my money there. Just kidding. But last player, let's do this in 60 to 120 seconds. Sam Darnold. When people get the Chick-fil-A's there, we might have to cut.
No.
When the Chick-fil-A arrives, we cut.
Like a half hour. We're good.
Oh man, the time period before hitting that place order button and it actually arriving at your door, that feels like it just moves in slow motion, especially when you're hungry. But Sam Darnold, and this, guys, when a player gets traded, prices on StarStock go up. That, if there's one thing that's been consistent, that's been consistent. Sam Darnold, buyer or seller, he's got a lot of weapons. He's got a lot of tools. We've also seen that he kind of plays like a tool. What do you think?
Well, listen, he's a jet quarterback that never butt fumbled. Am I a buyer or a seller? The cards have gone up already a lot. I like Darnold. I think, here we go. I'm going to get hate mail for this, but I think the NFL is so much more a product of where you land than your talent, your own talent. I think that there are a lot of quarterbacks who, if you swap their team, they would not be as good. Now, that's not everyone. There are people who just make talent around them. I mean, you should, obviously, Tom Brady.
Can I navigate a little bit then?
We should line up the bums that he had. Yeah, but please, navigate.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah. But Wentz has never had a legitimate wide receiver. And people will say, well, look, Hurts was so much better, but Hurts wasn't doing it by
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying is now he's in a different situation, a better situation. Yeah. Some people could say, people blamed Wentz for a lack of Philly success. But if we're going to talk about your point right there, because I agree with it 100%, he's now in a much better situation, So
and he may turn around. We'll see. Right? So listen, it's not everyone, right? It's not everyone. There are people who leave and go to other situations and do not flourish, right? So I remember when Brady got hurt and Matt Castle played a season for him when he was hurt. And he also led the team to the playoffs, not to a Super Bowl, but he led the team to the playoffs. And there was rumblings around the league, like maybe Tom Brady's not that good. Look, Matt Castle took the team, whole deal. And Matt Castle went to go play for Kansas City, and he was not that good. So that's just one example off the top of my brain. Will Darnold do great things? He's young, man. One of those things a lot of people are forgetting. Everybody's buying Joe Burrow. Right? Joe Burrow, buy Joe Burrow, get on the Joe Burrow train. Sam Darnold's younger than Joe Burrow. Did you know that? He's younger. Kyler Murray.
Sam Darnold's 23 years old.
Yeah. Sam Darnold's young, man. I think Kyler Murray is younger than Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? These guys didn't play, as long in college as Joe Burrow did. So, it reminds me of when you and a lot of people made fun of me for buying Devontae Graham and said, why are you buying a 37-year-old rookie? But the same thing is there, right? If we're going to say, Joe Burrow is going to turn into this great thing after watching him play 4 games for the Bengals, I mean, Darnold may have a longer career ahead of him than Burrow does. He's a younger guy. So, I don't want to wipe the slate clean with what happened to the Jets. Obviously, he made some mistakes. He made some bad plays. But there are franchises that do not put weapons around you. Can you name me the best wide receiver he had?
On the Jets? Yeah. I remember watching the Jets. I'm like, I was there when I worked for Gary, and I wanted Gary to be happy. And I was just watching this Jets team season after season. I was like, I don't think that they're getting any better. Like, I don't think they're actually bringing in any good players. And I was actually surprised that they were giving away all their best players. So, I mean, who's the guy on Carolina though?
Robbie Anderson.
They had Robbie Anderson for I think a year.
Yep, and he's going back, right? Little reunited. So, but obviously other and better weapons than that. I mean, listen. So if I were a quarterback, right? And I have a quarterback build, but if I were a quarterback in the NFL, and you asked me where I'd want to go play, it's funny, right? Obviously, I'd love to play it, the Patriots or the Bucks or something like that, where they're fantastic. But
Andy Reid right here. Andy Reid.
so I'm going to give you two teams that may surprise you. If I were a quarterback, where I'd want to play, I'd want to play in New York for the Giants, or I'd want to play for the Panthers. And here's why: you have the two of the best safety valve options there as a quarterback, right? So you could throw it down the field, you do the whole deal, but he's got Christian McCaffrey now. You know what I mean? He's going to a place where, if he doesn't have it downfield or can't throw it downfield, he's got he's got a fantastic option coming out of the backfield who should take a significant amount of pressure coming off of him, right? I mean, the Jets had Le'Veon Bell, but they had like Le'Veon Bell like version 6.0 where he was already broken, so what weapon and protection did Darnold have with the Jets? Not much. I don't expect him to go out there and be undefeated or win a Super Bowl. I do expect him to be better. Why I'm not a buyer right now is because people have already run his prices up a lot because of the trade.
It may be worth playing this, playing Sam Darnold this way, and we'll wrap with this. If you're able to find a bottom in this summer, because prices are going to drop a little bit. Remember, the Bucks, a team that wins a Super Bowl, there's this hangover in the first half of the season, especially the first 4 games. People don't realize the first 4 games in the NFL are kind of like preseason in a lot of ways. So Bucks could have a hangover. Drew Brees retired. You don't know what the Saints are going to be. Falcons haven't looked good. Is there a chance for Sam Darnold to hit it right off the bat and go 3-1 with that team? And there's so much hype, and you sell into that hype. I think that's an interesting way to play. Not hold for the full season, because I think that 3-1 will end in a 6-9, or the math 6-10, or is it 17 games now? Right?
I don't know what the hell they're gonna do. I don't know what they're doing.
6-11.
No, they've always had a 16-game season.
Look
right?
for a bottom in the summer and see if you could buy and sell into the hype when they start the season. I think they're going to have a good first 2-3 games. He could catch some people by surprise.
I like it. There are a few quarterbacks. We'll do an NFL preview episode, but there are a few quarterbacks that could be bounce back candidates this year. But with 15% on StarStock, we don't have to talk about that just yet.
You didn't even see who's behind me. Did you see that?
Athletics, it says. I can't see who it is. I mean, Athletics, I would assume it's probably like Mark McGuire or somebody like that. Is that? I can't really say. No, Athletics, that's you. That's Athletics of your school. Look at that, man. Look at the it's an Athletic Andrew is what it is. Look at this. Look at that.
I'm doing a horrible job with the computer.
We're all dizzy now, though.
Back in my childhood room for a few days. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Love you, Luke Nation.
Lovely. Are all the magazines still hidden under the mattress?
Yep.
Nice. Nice. Biggins. Take care, Luca Nation. We love you.
What's up, Luca Nation? It is Luca Nation Conrad here, and I'm back with another segment for the StarStock episode where I will be breaking down the NBA Emerging 30 Index. And before we get into it, obviously, you can tell that there's something different about me today. This is a new sweatshirt. No, I'm just messing with you guys. I got a new haircut, and to say the least, it doesn't exactly look amazing. However, what looks worse was Kyle Kuzma's outfit 1 or 2 days ago against the New York Knicks, and that might be why his prices went down in the StarStock market Emerging 30 Index, but we will talk about that a little bit later on in the episode today. So for those of you that don't know how to get to the StarStock Emerging 30 Index, you're going to type in StarStock. You'll go to this web page right here, scroll down, and then this will be right here where it says NBA Emerging 30. You can click over here and hit view the index, and you will have the entire index at your fingertips rather than just the few guys that I'll be covering here today. And you can get obviously more detailed analysis of everybody in the entire index, right? So today we're going to be starting off with some of the new additions that they actually added into the index. They have 4 new players: Gary Trent Jr., Mikal Bridges, Robert Williams III, and Jarrett Allen, all players that honestly do deserve to be on the list. So now it's not really the NBA Emerging 30 anymore because there's 34 players. So it is more like the NBA Emerging 34, but we're going to stick with saying the NBA Emerging 30. right? So there's not a ton of data on any of these guys, so I can't exactly go too crazy in depth on any of them, but I will give like a brief breakdown on each of these players, right? So Gary Trent Jr. has played extremely well in Toronto. He just recently had a 44-point outburst, career high, obviously, and it was on ridiculous efficiency. So prices are just going to continue to rise. Jared Allen is a bland player to most people. He's just your average big man, right? Can't really stretch the floor, gets a good amount of blocks, grabs rebounds. Nothing crazy flashy about his game, and nothing too exciting for a lot of investors. So unless the Cleveland Cavaliers start to win more games, I don't see Jared Allen's prices really going up by a ton, or really fluctuating a crazy amount unless he just really steps it up to a whole other level that none of us really expect him to, right? The third player on the list, Mikal Bridges, he's been offensively inconsistent recently. He had like a 0-point game, a 20-point game, then a 15-point game, and then a 6-point game or something like that. And I mean, there was even some inconsistencies before that, but just recently he had a really inconsistent streak offensively. So prices aren't really stable and have continued to drop. They've been fluctuating a little bit, but this has definitely just led to an overall decrease in prices. And then the final guy on the list was Robert Williams. And I think he initially rose slightly because he was finally starting and finally getting more minutes, because a lot of people have been kind of waiting for that opportunity for him. But like Allen, he just has an unattractive game. He, kind of athletic big man, really only scores in the paint, basically attacking the basket, driving into the lane, not driving into the lane, but basically just attacking the basket, whether it's a dump off or a pass from somebody else. Works his way in the post, gets himself into the paint, and then finishes with a layup or a dunk or any of those sort of moves, I guess. So he won't see drastic increases like other players might on the NBA Emerging 30 Index. However, if the Celtics do continue to get better, then maybe his prices will slowly begin to rise just slightly, at least more consistently than they have so far on the index. The second person, or I guess now the fifth person, but the second topic we're going to be covering today is going to be Michael Porter Jr., because he's been playing very, very well the past 14 or so games, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. So the Nuggets overall have been playing at a crazy high level recently, ever since especially the Aaron Gordon trade. But even before that, they were honestly kind of on a hot streak. And Porter Jr. has been playing extremely well as well. So he's had 2 streaks of multiple 20-point games. I believe he's on a 4 or 5 game 20-point streak right now, which is always great to see. He's crazy consistent and also ridiculously efficient. I believe he's 50% from the field and 40% from 3, which is very, very good percentages that you want to see from a guy like him. He's finally getting the touches that he deserves while Murray is continuing to rehab his knees. He's not exactly like out, although he might be after last night, because he did go down with a left knee injury, I believe. But he's been kind of 50-50 on and off the court. And, he hasn't been playing his best because of knee injuries. So Michael Porter Jr. has kind of stepped up and fulfilled the scoring need that they need, because Murray is obviously out, right? So with the amount of people that have been waiting for him to finally get his moment to shine, he's going to continue to climb as long as this level of play doesn't stop, right? Because Michael Porter Jr. came into the league being seen as the next best scorer in potentially NBA history, because that's exactly who he was in high school. Number 1 prospect. Everyone believed in him. And then he went down with an injury, and, prices dropped. He fell in his draft stock fell, and overall there was just less people believing in him, and he got less playing time. So he's got a lot of potential, but a lot of people haven't really decided to commit to his cards yet because of opportunity and injury and all these other factors that come into play. So the Nuggets look like a potential contender even in the loaded Western Conference, and just like last year, they're probably going to have to rely on MPJ a bit more than they do, at least sometimes during the regular season, and we could see some real nice performances around that time. Last year, we saw a couple 30-point performances from him last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe saw the same thing again. However, I'm not saying you need to buy him, but I'm just saying be on the lookout and be aware that he could really be seeing some major what is the word? Increase in role, I guess. RJ Barrett is running the roster, as I put it on as I put it on the write-up that I made. So the Knicks have shocked us all this year, and it's not just because of Randall, but RJ Barrett has been exceeding expectations as well, especially mine. They have a major lack of floor spacing. He gets a lot of his points attacking the basket and getting in the paint, and he's played super well, by far, completely blowing me away. And props to him because he proved me wrong. All right, I said that this would be a terrible year for him, and he proved me wrong. So I'm glad that he did. Congrats to RJ. This is some fantastic play that we're seeing from him. However, while he has been really flying under the radar recently, he also recently might have kind of put himself more on people's radars because he had a really nice streak of 20-point performances, including a near 30-point performance, I want to say 2 or 3 games ago. And the Knicks are now on a 3-game win streak, obviously competing for a playoff spot. Big market like New York, he's really starting to get more attention on himself. I think that people are beginning to realize that he's playing better than his prices will at least lead you to believe. And that's why prices are increasing in small percentages, because there's only a small portion of people that realize just how well he's playing so far this year. But if enough people do take notice, then we could see a big jump in future weeks for RJ's prices. And the final guy that I'm going to be talking about, as I mentioned before in the beginning, is Kyle Kuzma. So with LeBron and AD out, Kuzma has been getting more minutes. And while the team has done well, he's been kind of 50-50, hot and cold. However, recently it's been like a blizzard because it has been ice cold honestly, pretty much the entire month of April. So Kuzma did have a 30-point performance back on the 2nd of April, but since then, he's had back-to-back games with single-digit scoring. I believe it was 6 and 8. Then he missed some time with a calf injury and then returned with a terribly efficient night. I think it was like a 14-point performance, a couple of rebounds, and I want to say like 1 or 2 assists, and a loss to the Knicks, like a 20-point loss to the Knicks. And this is not exactly something that you would see or something that you would expect to increase a player's value in the card market. And so this is the biggest reason that Kuzma has been dipping, at least as of recently. 38.8% drop off in comparison to just 1% drop offs the past 2 weeks. Like I said before, maybe this was because of his awful clothing choices that he made while he was sidelined. But obviously the biggest reason that he did see a dip in prices was because of his poor performances and his injury. But that's all I had for you guys today. So thank you guys for listening, and get back to your regularly scheduled program with Cage and Andrew. I'll see you guys next time.